And so here's how things stand. It was 3-0, bouncing back from that loss to Las Palmas at the weekend were Atleti. When it comes to the table, though, they are off the pace when it comes to the top two, something we already knew, but they are keeping away the advances of Athletic and making third spot their own, which is the best they can hope for at this stage of the season. We have Julian Laurent with us. We have Alex Kirkland with us too. Let's begin, though, with a little bit of talk about this game. Alexander Sørloth, will we see him starting more, Ale? I know the season's almost done, but...
Well, it really depends on what happens with Antoine Griezmann. And we just saw Antoine Griezmann when he came in. Of course, the game was stretched by then, but the last 25, 30 minutes or so, when you give him time and space and you give him an attacking role and freedom to roam about and go and find the game whenever he wants to, he can find a pass and he can connect with Julian Alvarez. Now, if that's a version of Antoine Griezmann that you're going to get, then of course you play him. But that hasn't been the case. Antoine Griezmann just hasn't been productive at all in the second half of the season, and one could argue that Alexander Sørloth has been, indeed, statistically speaking, their most effective striker. Now, that's mostly coming off the bench. What we saw from Alexander Sørloth today is typically what we expect. And he scores a goal, and it's a good goal, but then misses a bunch of chances. He has been effective off the bench, not nearly as effective starting, although today was given an opportunity, he scores a goal, and that's the one thing that I suppose you can control if you're Sørloth. If it comes down to starting Antoine Griezmann or Sørloth, and that's the question that you're asking yourself, that answer still is Antoine Griezmann.
What is Griezmann's future then, Jules, to that question?
A good question. I think he will stay at the club. I think that's what he wants to do. I think they want to keep him, probably not on the current terms because he earns a lot of money, around 16 million euros a year, which is a lot of money. At 34 years old, let's not forget, he's played 47 games. That was his 48th tonight. He's played too much. We said that in our build-up pre-match. And that's why he's also struggling in that second half of the season. But I agree with the boys, there's a role for him in there. If you're going to put crosses in the box like they did today in the first half, that's not for him. But if you play to his strength and the ball at feet and there's people around him giving the options and everything, as we saw on the third goal, brilliant pass for Alvarez, great finish, the understanding between the two. There's a role for him in there too. It's just you're not a role player on 60 million a year. That's not possible. So if they find an agreement somewhere for a bit less money, I'm sure he's got still a good future at the club, even at his age.
What's your take on what we're hearing from the boys here, Alex, and Griezmann's role in the club going forward?
Yeah, the information we've been getting here is what Jules has been saying there, and that he's now likely to stay. Of course, there was some speculation earlier in the season that this might be potentially his last season at the club. He's always talked about his desire, his enthusiasm about playing in the States, in MLS. He's made no secret of that. So there was talk of that earlier in the season. But in the last few months, our information here has been he's staying for a year or two. But I think this is what we're seeing in the second half. This is maybe the start of kind of a period of transition for Griezmann, a different role, maybe not being quite as much the main man in the forward line. That's becoming Julian Alvarez. Maybe Griezmann might have to get used to, like I say, not being the guy, not always starting every game, but still being a really important player and a crucial player. And you see how much quality he still has and will always have with the assist for that third goal. So I think his role is changing in the team and at the club. But Simeone still absolutely loves him. He's one of Simeone's favourite players. He still offers things to the team that really no other player in that squad and very few players in world football can do. And so I think he's going to stick around. He's going to continue to be important, but in a different way perhaps to what he has been in the past.
Alex, we don't see this much from Carlo Ancelotti being so vocal about his players in situations like this.
Yeah, really interesting, especially talking about a youngster, because I think Ancelotti, as you say, tends to be protective of all his players and especially of his younger players. And so the fact he was willing to be as critical of he was as Endrick there, using that language, accusing him essentially of being kind of over theatrical, not really having, I guess, the right sort of attitude in terms of looking for efficiency over kind of showing off is what he's saying. I think it's interesting. I think there have been times this season when, of course, Ancelotti, like everybody else, recognises that the talent that Endrick has, the potential that he has, but there have been one or two moments when it feels like he hasn't always been entirely kind of enamoured with his attitude, and this was a symbol of that. I think. I guess he thinks that Endrick is the kind of player who can hear this, because some players will hear their coach talk about them that critically, and they won't take it well. They won't take it well at all, and it won't have the desired effect. Maybe, or clearly, Ancelotti thinks that in this case, Endrick is the kind of player who you can say that about, who will hear it, because players hear these things. It's relayed to them if they haven't heard it firsthand, and will take it on board and will learn from it. So Ancelotti clearly thinks this is the kind of thing that he can say, and it will have the right kind of effect in terms of learning a lesson for Endrick and making him a better player.
Much like a player who decides to take a Panenka penalty kick, when you make that decision, you have to pull it off. Because when you don't, you look like an idiot. And that's exactly what happened here. He tried to get cute, made a decision to get cute, and didn't quite work out. And when you think about the timing in which he decided to do this, when the team was kind of hanging on, when the match was still very much in play and very much in doubt, and the result was very much in doubt, that I think is the message of Carlo Ancelotti. I also think that there is something to be said about what Carlo Ancelotti sees in training from Endrick. And that's the one thing that we're not privy to. We don't get access to that. And when you decide to make this so public and so clearly and emphatically as Carlo Ancelotti making his point about Endrick, I think it's a message that it's not just about this play. It's something that has been building and something that perhaps he's been trying to address, hasn't quite got the reaction from the player that he wanted. He said, okay, I've tried it this way, now I'm going this way, and I'm not going to protect you. You think you're going to act like a big boy and you're going to make big boy decisions? Well, take this. Here you go.
I think it's also something to be said for Ancelotti in the timing of it, in that Real Madrid won. Now, had Getafe gotten an equaliser or gone on to win the game, they had the chances, enough chances to do either. Then maybe I think he doesn't go as public or as hard at Endrick as he does. But the fact that Real Madrid held on to that 1-0 lead, it wasn't, the effort by Endrick wasn't damaging in that regard. That's an opportunity that Carlo Ancelotti can take to be stern, to be vocal. Had, as I say, Getafe gotten an equaliser, the crowd would have let Endrick know about that chance and what they thought of it. And it would have been far more harsh, it would have been a far harder listen for Endrick had that been the case.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously a big game coming up for Real Madrid on Saturday. It's the Copa del Rey final against Barcelona. And we've seen how they fared against Barcelona this season in both the Supercopa final and the first La Liga meeting. Did not go down well for them.
Okay, you can start the season with a team that is a bit disjointed, a bit unbalanced. And your role as a coach, and I guess the leaders in that dressing room, is to find the solutions, right? To make this team better. Collectively, individually, anything you want. Since those two games, since the start of the season, Real Madrid hasn't changed. It's still the same team, the same issues, the same problems, the lack of balance, the lack of defensive solidity, the lack of pressing, counter-pressing, anything you want. All the things that we've mentioned so many times on the show is still very much there. And that's why I don't see how they can this time find a way of beating this Barcelona team that is maybe not as good as they were in January or in October. They're a bit more tired. They don't have the biggest margin. They still have a super high line that could be exploited, okay, but they're still better collectively and as a team than Real Madrid have ever been this season.
Alex, Carlo Ancelotti has said that 4-4-2 is his favoured formation with this Real Madrid team. How will they line up on Saturday?
Yeah, I think we've got to be a little bit careful with that, Kate, because he's always talking about out of possession, off the ball when he talks about 4-4-2. And quite often this season, that's what we've seen Real Madrid lining up in, out of possession. It doesn't mean picking two forwards and four midfielders, as Ancelotti himself has frequently said. You know, he says that when you've got, say, Rodrigo tucking on the right, that can still be a 4-4-2. So you can have three forwards in there, you can have Bellingham in there as well, and it can still be out of possession a 4-4-2. In terms of the sort of the question marks over who gets into the team, I think there are a couple of areas that there are doubts, and the rest is pretty clear. In midfield, I think let's see. There are a number of players there competing for the midfield spots. You've got, will Tchouaméni play there? Ancelotti sometimes likes to pick Tchouaméni as a centre back. Will Fede Valverde play midfield, or will he be forced to play at right back, as has sometimes been the case in Madrid's big games this season against the best teams? Dani Ceballos is back from injury, been one of the most important players this season when he's come into the team. I'd expect him to start. Luka Modric as well doesn't always start, but tends to start some of these big games. In other positions, Ancelotti's got very little to choose from. Look at left back, for example. We had the injuries in midweek in that Getafe game for Alaba, for Camavinga as well. You've got Ferland Mendy, who's sort of racing to get back to fitness in time for this game. We don't know if he's going to make it or not. If not, it's only Fran Garcia at left back, so there's no option there. I mentioned the question at right back about whether that is Valverde, whether it's Lucas Vazquez, whether it's Raul Asensio. Otherwise, the team pretty much picks itself. One question mark, I guess, might be Rodrigo for many people, who's been in really bad form, not scoring goals for a long time now, hasn't had a good second half of the season. But Ancelotti almost always goes with that front four. We've got Mbappe, of course, who's had a minor injury, expected to be back. Him, Vinicius, Bellingham, and Rodrigo. Ancelotti seems so reluctant to drop one of those front four. So I think it's likely Rodrigo plays even if, like I say, for many people, he's badly out of form and the team could maybe do with an extra midfielder instead.
We'll be finding out in a couple of days' time what lineup he does go with as the two face off. When you take a look at the odds between the two, it is Barcelona who are favourites against Real Madrid. And of course, those recent meetings have got to play into that, given what we've seen this season in La Liga as well. Shaka, who have you got winning it?
Barcelona. It's really hard to see past Barcelona over Real Madrid, kind of given what we've seen in the two fixtures so far this season. The fact that, well, Barca aren't playing the free-flowing football that we saw earlier this season, and Real Madrid have been their old selves that we've been seeing all season long. That doesn't bode well for Real Madrid. Maybe it's not the scoreline that we saw in either of the previous two meetings, but I still feel Barcelona are the better of the two and get the job done.
LA?
Aren't we doing a whole hour preview on this? So I'm supposed to give you a pick already?
Well, but many of our international viewers might not get to see our preview on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. So on Thursday, I'm giving you...
So block your ears if you're a domestic viewer.
Barcelona.
Okay.
Let me see if you get Barcelona.
Jules?
Yeah, I agree with Barcelona as well. I agree with Shaka too. I don't think it would be another battering like we've seen already in the two Clásicos this season, but I think that they're still too strong.
Alex?
Yeah, it's very weird for Madrid to be going into a final as underdogs and significant underdogs as well. They are not used to that. Could that suit them? I don't know. You have to go with Barcelona. There are little things that Madrid can sort of cling on to, I think, from those earlier meetings. The fact that in the League Clasico, in the first half, it was even. Barca ran away with it in the second half. Mbappe had all those chances and was caught offside in the first half. In the Super Copa as well, Mbappe, remember, scored early and it was looking good for Madrid until it wasn't. So there are little things that Madrid can cling on to. But yeah, overall, I think you have to go with Barcelona as the favourites based on what's happened this season.
That was quite the case by Alex. There are little things that you can cling on to, but forget about those little things. Yeah. It's Barcelona.
A whole lot of examples. Alex, thank you so much for being with us. We'll be hearing from you again very soon. Make sure to join us for the Copa del Rey final on Saturday. Our coverage begins at 3 p.m. Eastern, and you will be able to hear Ali Moreno's prediction over there for the Copa del Rey final.
Uncover your ears. Uncover your ears.
Spoiler alert. Let's revisit this quote from Bruce Arena on Mauricio Pochettino. He says, "I'm sure our coach is a very good coach, but coaching international football is different than club football. If you're an American coaching a US team, you know the culture, you know the pride, you know how important the national team is. When you bring in somebody from outside, they don't understand it, especially in our country, because we're so different. If you ask me if we lack pride, well, I'm watching and I'm shocked. I'm shocked we can't beat Panama and Canada." Frank joins us now. Jules remains with us as well, but I want to start with you here, Ale. You've been in America, the longest out of all of us. What was your reaction to what you saw here from Bruce Arena?
Well, I understand the overall point from Bruce Arena, but there are holes, good sizable holes in the argument, because while Bruce Arena indeed has taken the United States men's national team into the quarterfinals of a World Cup as he did in 2002, it is also true that this is the same Bruce Arena whose team did not qualify to the 2018 World Cup. It's the same. It's the same manager. It's the same coach. Did that manager, did Bruce Arena not know the American players then? Did he not know the culture of the players then? Did he not know the nuances of being a player in the United States and how different the culture is in this country? Or did he forget from 2002 to 2018? It's the same guy, is he not? Okay. So there are holes in the argument, and this is very self-serving when it comes from a former manager of the United States men's national team to say, well, that guy who's in that position now doesn't really know what I know about the national team. So spare me when it comes to Bruce Arena and making this sort of comments. This is more about the players than it is about Pochettino. And Pochettino has a whole lot of responsibility in what's going on currently. But the struggles of the United States men's national team go back to the days of Greg Berhalter. So getting consistency out of Weston McKennie, that's an issue with Berhalter, it's an issue with Pochettino. Getting Matt Turner to play consistent minutes with the club team, it was an issue from Berhalter, and it's an issue with Pochettino. Getting the best of Christian Pulisic consistently, that's an issue with both, and it has been an issue with both. Getting Gio Reyna to be fit and ready to play has been an issue with Berhalter, has been an issue with Pochettino. And I can go on and on. I can say, have they found a center-back pairing that worked? It was an issue back then, it's an issue now. You're looking at the group of players that some in our building have called the golden generation. Boy, were they wrong. These guys are not delivering at the level that they should, whether it's with one coach or the other. We can focus on Pochettino, but that's giving a pass to the players, And if I were to single out actually players that you know are going to give you consistent performances in this team, it's a handful. And I'm talking maybe Anthony Robinson is one of those players. And I put out there Christian Pulisic just because he is the flag bearer and the most talented player in this team. And usually he's the one that gives you the answers. But beyond that, is George Sargent scoring goals? He wasn't scoring goals with Berhalter. He's not scoring goals with Pochettino. You see my point here? It's not just the managers that are the issue here. Focus on the players.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, Jules? Because you hear him use the word culture here. And okay, he's not American, but this is an Argentine guy. He knows what the national team means to a country. So it just seems strange to hear comments like this from Bruce Arena.
Yeah, I think bitterness is very sad. Bruce Arena wanted the job, didn't get the job, and now he's jealous and he's going on and criticize Mauricio Pochettino and the US men's national team in a way. I don't see the point of these comments. I don't even know why we giving more importance to Bruce Arena by commentating on the stupidity that he just said, to be fair. And I so agree. My argument was I had prepared the same thing that Ali just said. Is this the same Bruce Arena that is opening his mouth now about the national team that did so badly leading into the 2018 World Cup? Is that him? I don't even count what happened 25 years ago. I was too young by then. But what happened recently from Bruce Arena, really, is that who is now opening his mouth? I don't give him any importance. I don't understand. And by the way, this is not even true. This is not even true. You can do really well by not knowing the culture of Arne Slot and Liverpool. Yeah, of course, he knew nothing about English football, Arne Slot, did he? He knew nothing about English culture. He knew nothing about the Premier League before, and yet he still won. So he doesn't have... Well, it's true. You don't need to know the culture of a country. You don't need to spend 20 years in the US or have been born in the US to do well with that national team. I'm sorry. This is not true. This is BS.
Frank?
Well, I completely go the other way comparing to Ali and Jules' comments. I totally agree with Bruce Arena, where I think it's really hard when you don't know the country, you don't know the player, you don't know all the players in the MLS, and you come over and you try to take care of the national team. It's already hard for Bruce Arena. It's where I go the other way. So imagine for somebody who knows nobody, except maybe the players who play in England. I'll go away from the Jules' last comment about Arne Slot. It's completely different to be a coach of a national team and a coach of a club where in the club you have, for example, many Dutch players playing for Liverpool, let's say, like Van Dijk and some others. So you know you have different cultures, so you have to deal in an amount of players, European, South American, whatever, North American players. So it's not the same deal, and it's a day-by-day work. With the national team, again, I was against, for example, Tuchel coming and taking in charge England. For me, it goes against, everything you can imagine about a coach of a national team, a coach who knows the culture of a country. So again, if we compare Bruce Arena and Pochettino, Bruce Arena maybe couldn't qualify the American team for the World Cup. So imagine what could have happened to Pochettino in the same time. If he had to take care of that team, we weren't maybe the best team at the time. He qualified in 2002 because he had good players. And Ali mentioned that this era right now is definitely not a golden era. So and the best players we ever seen for America. So I think what I understand from Bruce Arena, maybe I don't know the underneath story where maybe he's a little bit jealous because he didn't get the job, but that's for me a truth where for a big nation, a coach should belong to the country that he takes care of. For me, that's compulsory.
Let me say, well, to the Frank's final point there's a discussion, a debate around whether a coach should be from the country that he's coaching. Now, in much the same way that the players have to be from the country that they represent. And that's fine, that's a debate, but that's not the topic here. That's not the ruling right now. I see it very differently otherwise from Frank. Maybe it's because I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, and it was a Dutchman in Leo Beenhakker, may he rest in peace, who took us to our one and only World Cup appearance in 2006. So I feel completely differently about that aspect of it must be, or it has to be, to get the best out of a team, the coach should be from that country. Aside from which, you look at England with a German coach right now, and it's a conversation we will have. Brazil are contemplating getting an Italian in as their national coach, and Carlo Ancelotti, one of the most famed nations, certainly in international football. So I don't see this as being any more of an issue in today's football, the way the football continues to progress. As far as Bruce Arena goes, and here's my thing. To Jules' point, I think Bruce Arena has gravitas because of who he is, because of the things that he's accomplished. But at this point now, I don't see the point in making these statements. I don't see the benefit to Bruce Arena. I don't see why he feels the need to be involved. Sit back, go to dinners, have speeches. You don't need to get involved in these conversations. Aside from which, as I was discussing on the show last night, I feel that this statement in itself implodes, because he draws reference to the games that the US lost against both Panama and Canada. Panama's coach is not Panamanian, he's Spanish. Canada's coach is not Canadian, he's American. So by your own statement, you shoot your own argument in the foot. So I just don't understand. So it just comes right back to, what is the point that Bruce Arena is trying to make? Or is it that he sees US soccer as being so different, so unique, so elite to everybody else that they have to play by a different set of rules? Again, maybe that leads into a certain sense of
entitlement,
a certain sense of who you are, of grandeur, that I'm not sure the US has earned.
Is there such a thing as a clip mic drop? Because I think Shaka might have just had that there with the little point that he made.
What was that?
I liked it. It was good. You could have just pulled off your mic and dropped it after that little point. Tom Canterbury carried it.
Don't start kicking, because I will. You know I'll be gone in 2 minutes.
Stay with us. We've got a bit more to show yet. Ian Dark's had plenty to say. These are his Premier League flops of the season. Phil Foden and Rasmus Højlund in there, Raheem Sterling, Eddie Nketiah.
You can't have Heung-min Son in there.
Son's in there, James Maddison. Yeah, there's a few names on that list, it's fair to say, and Arrow Muric down there, Ipswich Town as well. But this is an article.
We didn't have enough space for him.
Enough space, maybe just get some space. Jules and Frank's still with us. Frank, anything to say about Ian Dark's flops of the season?
I'm very concerned about Son Heung-min. I mean, the player that I rank very highly, and what he showed when he was playing for this national team, but also for Spurs the season before, showed me that he's a top-notch, world-class player, and he completely disappeared. He didn't exist this season. He wasn't the skipper that the Spurs needed. He had the armband, but it was quite invisible, and I'm concerned for he's 32, okay, but I think he still have lots of years to play and show better leadership and even for himself be a better football player, and as he was before. He completely disappeared this season. I don't know why. I don't know, is it because of Postecoglou's tactic or whatever it can be, or his teammates, or maybe himself. But I'm very surprised that his level dropped so much comparing to the other seasons.
Shaka?
I agree. First of all, you can't have Son in any flop list. I don't care. Son has just done too much. I just like that player too much to have him in any kind of list.
Is this how you put it together, your rankings? You just can't do it?
Kind of.
Just can't do it.
That might be the peek into the secret sauce. Aside from which, Heung-min Son has got the same number of league goals as Dominic Solanke, an out-and-out striker, who was bought for 60 million. So if that's the bar, then again, you can make the argument that Solanke should be instead of Son. But for me, I think one omission similarly, Federico Chiesa. And while he arrived at Liverpool injured, I don't see how the season he has had, all right, Liverpool will win the title, but I don't see how the season he has had warrants him not being on this list. He should be in it.
Jules, your take, your turn.
Yeah, I agree on Chiesa. I would have probably add Robert Sanchez there, Christopher Nkunku, who, as much as Frank and I love him, hasn't worked out for him at all this season. It maybe not just his fault, but it's true that when you buy him for 60 million and then you see the return that he's had this season, it's not good enough. And for Darwin, it's probably very similar. That this is not new as well to see Darwin in this kind of poor form, but still, this is low for him after being bought for so much money by Liverpool. So yeah, I agree with the boys on Son. I think this would be harsh maybe on Son, but you could easily pick one of my three there to add to the list.
Well, I speaking from the perspective of somebody who flopped for a living, I can tell you that in order to flop, you have to start at a high level in order to have that fall, in order to have that flop. And it doesn't get any higher in this list than Phil Foden. He was a player of the season, player of the year. It was the highest standard in the Premier League last season. Highest standard. Not only Premier League, across Europe and across the world. That's how good of a season he had and how good of a player we thought we were dealing with, and we still think we're dealing with. His fall this season and his flop has been as surprising as Manchester City's flop this season. And maybe they go together. Yeah. Maybe they go hand in hand. But if you take in a vacuum the fall from grace of Phil Foden, I could never have seen that happen, just as I could have never have seen Manchester City flopping in the manner in which they have. And Phil Foden is the best or worst example, however you want to look at it, of that very concept of flopping. So much expectation coming into this year. So much belief in the player, in that he's only going to get better. He's only maturing and evolving and growing, and his game is finding nuances, and he's becoming a whole lot smarter with the usage of space and how he's able to use his body to spin away from defenders. All these things that we saw last season, they have all disappeared. And it goes back to one very specific and basic principle: confidence. There is none. Zero confidence. And it has disappeared to where now trapping a ball is a problem for Phil Foden. That's a flop.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some serious rankings now, shall we, Shaq?
Oh, here we go.
What do you mean? Okay,
I said serious. I was complimenting you.
Yeah, some of the best work yet. Barcelona top PSG. Liverpool are back in after winning ways, and they're on the verge of winning a title. Galatasaray up to Napoli are in, joint top with Inter. Inter are out after they go and lose to AC Milan, albeit in the cup. Arsenal down after they peaked after beating Real Madrid, but yeah, keep drawing. You're gonna drop. Bayern Munich are back in. They're on the verge of winning the Bundesliga title. Sporting Lisbon, Athletic Club de Bilbao. They have lost 1 in 10, and Europa League semi-finals. They are deserving to be in. Who was 10? Man City.
Yeah.
Who was 10 in your list, Shaq?
Yeah, I forgot. It's a lot. No, let me tell you. It's a lot. There's lots going on in my mind here, okay? Manchester City, who have all of a sudden put together this run without looking overly convincing, are now up to 3rd in the Premier League.
Speaking of looking overly convincing, today those power rankings look overly convincing to you, Jules?
Oh, absolutely. Jules loves it.
I mean, the fact that Shaka himself has forgotten who was in the power rankings, I think says it all, really. As much as I love Shaka,
don't say anything. Don't say anything, Jules. It's all right.
Hey, you know, Shaka, you know how you pretended to do some research for this and actually pointed at the fact of maybe a stat that you heard somewhere about Atletico only losing 1 in 10. That one loss was this past weekend. That one loss was this past weekend against Real Madrid on the goal by Fede Valverde.
A 93rd minute goal. You gotta give them.
But it is a loss.
No,
and it just happened. And it just happened. No, I love Atletico Bilbao.
Me too.
I love them. one of my favorite teams in La Liga. But if they just lost, they cannot be.
Which was your excuse for not having Betis?
They cannot be in the list.
This was your excuse for not having Betis last week. Betis had gone further in the conference finals. They've been doing well, and you said, oh, they didn't win at the weekend. That was how you said that they wouldn't be in.
Last week is last week. It's a new price. It's a new price this week.
So now you are allowed to drop points at the weekend and still make it into the power ranking.
If it's Real Madrid, you are. At the point about 93rd minute, you got to be a little more. I'm more lenient than that. I'm more lenient than Ali. You know that.
Frank, are you lenient for these power rankings?
No, I mean, what I'm very surprised is, I don't care what's going on in the Serie A and the Calcio really, but when I don't see Inter Milan semi-finalists of the Champions League, I really wonder why they're not in that list. When I see other teams who are not deserving to be in it, so I don't know what Shaka you have against Inter Milan. I can say to Interis that.
They lost 3-0 yesterday.
Yeah, but
so a loss counts then.
Yeah.
Not 3-0 loss counts.
Okay, not the other losses.
Against the City rivals.
Is that a weekend power ranking, or is that
It's a Wednesday,
that only the
Wednesday,
weekend power
Thursday.
ranking?
Yes,
it's a Wednesday, Thursday power rankings.
At least I remember. I couldn't remember who was at number 10, but I remember that Inter lost.
And also, what's this new music?
Yeah. What happened to the Caribbean?
They even forgot what number
Very
the
annoying.
playlist for the proper music was. Anyway, that was Shaka's power rankings. Hello and welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. We've got LA and Shaka here in the studio, and we've got Jules and Frank also alongside us. I've got the questions right here in front of me. My producer was wondering if I've got them. I do. Jules, did you get a kick out of seeing Wemby playing in a pickup football game in Costa Rica?
Yeah, I loved it. We mentioned it on the main show. I think it's amazing. He loves football. He loves sports. He loves being active all the time. He's a big PSG fan, as you know, Paris born and bred himself. So it's great to see him like that. And the ball seems so tiny. I believe it's a normal ball, but it feels so tiny because the guy is so big. You told me how many feet again? I don't know how many feet.
7'3".
7'3". I don't know what that is, but that's a lot.
What you said.
I have to imagine. Skinny guy like that has pointy elbows like he does. Catching a chicken wing from Wemby's got to hurt.
Seeing Wemby play football made me think of.
You'd have to jump high to even catch one.
Right?
Now.
I know.
It's way over your head.
Right. You'll be catching an elbow. I, on the other hand, not so much.
Yes. For the guys, have you ever had to participate in a guard of honour for title champions in your own stadium?
Oh, I don't recall having to do that. I don't recall that.
Nope. Not me.
Frank?
No, me neither.
All right.
All right, good question.
Good. Well, we might see it this season. Anyway, for LA, if you had only one spot at your family table, you love asking this or that.
Oh boy.
Would you choose Pedri or Fede Valverde?
Oh boy.
This is hard.
I feel like I know the answer.
This is hard because the love with Fede Valverde is strong. Strong. But Pedri's blood, baby. Pedri, Pedri, I appreciate the struggles that he had in the injuries. Prior to his injuries, he had a seat on the table. He had his injuries, he disappeared a little while. We took Jude Bellingham, he hasn't behaved all that well. So he out, he gone. Pedri has reclaimed his place. You know who hasn't reclaimed his place? My son. Not back at the dining table just yet.
Feels deep. Huh? Feels deep, that last interjection with your son.
I'm just
all of a sudden, you just...
I think he's off to college, only calls every so often whenever he needs something. He just has to take a good look at himself. Hey, call and tell us you love us every so often, not just when you need something. That's all.
Swinging some Wemby elbows there.
That's right. Pointy elbows. Chicken wing. Take that chicken
We
wing.
hit a nerve there, Alejandro Jr.
Oh boy.
Call your dad.
When he needs cash money, we're the first ones on that list.
Let's move on, Kay.
I think we better. Okay.
Ali's combusting.
What? Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry.
Boy.
Jules, it seems like David De Gea is acquitting himself just fine for Fiorentina this year. Any chance he gets a look by a bigger club again this summer?
No, I don't think so. I believe that he's very happy in Florence. Fiorentina are doing a really good job. Obviously, they are still in the Conference League. That they can go far at it. He's been a key part of their success this season, really. And I mean, yeah, it's never too late, of course, especially for goalkeeper who have, as we saw with Chesney, for example, longer career sometimes than outfield players. But I think he's found the right place. They gave him a second chance, really, let's be honest here, because nobody really wanted him before them. So I think he probably will want to repay them. But it's a marriage that is working right now. So I don't see anything changing.
I love it. He's very happy in Florence.
Yeah. One more
Must be
point about
awful,
my
right?
son. One more point about my son.
Oh dear.
Spring break.
This is not over.
Spring break, right? An opportunity to come home? No. He went to Puerto Rico with a girlfriend. All right. Don't come home then. But on summer you want to go home, don't you? Of course you do. I'm just saying. Puerto Rico with a girlfriend.
Just let it go, Ali.
I'm trying, Jules. I'm trying.
Yeah. Can we stick up like?
You know what, Kay?
Go on, Frank.
I think to be on that seat, which is normally Craig Burley's seat, is not a very good thing. I don't know.
Just because I'm having a family breakdown on TV
by yourself.
live on TV by myself, it doesn't mean that I've lost it.
No, but you get upset. Today, I don't know what you have. You get upset very quickly. I don't know. That's a Craig Burley.
He has been getting
Frank,
upset today.
Frank, let me just address something, Frank.
Yes.
Please, Frank, and I beg you, from here on out, for the remaining time that we have working together, however long that is, don't ever put me in the same category with Craig Burley on anything. Anything. Nothing. Please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take your mask. Take your mask off. Take your mask off. Take your mask off, Craig
Merci
Burley.
beaucoup. Merci beaucoup.
Can I just ask the guys, if you were 21 and you got to go on a nice vacation with your girlfriend,
Of course.
I think you're probably going to say yes, right?
Yeah, so would I, but I'm not 21.
Of course.
So would I, but I'm not 21. I'm the father here, so I have to take a different position, Kay.
Okay.
Plus, who knows, maybe my wife is watching and I'm taking the position of the family.
Oh, I don't want to upset Melissa. Okay, you're right.
No.
You're right.
No,
You're right.
No, I'll tell her about your attitude. Oh, let him go on trip with their girlfriend by themselves.
Just do my role as plain devil's advocate.
Hey, when Romeo and Luca, when they go by themselves with their girlfriend, is that what you're going to be saying? 9? No.
This is deep.
It is deep.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Ale, will Endrick leave Madrid after Ancelotti's comments?
Why is he going on vacation with the girlfriend?
He's only 18. Give him a few more years.
If he, first of all, he needs to understand that he has to be patient enough to see how this plays out with Carlo Ancelotti, first and foremost. And second, even if Carlo Ancelotti sticks around, I think he gets more from Ancelotti being there and actually learning and actually growing and evolving as a player than pitching a fit and just walking out.
Jules?
Yeah, I agree with Ali. And I think we don't even want to hear him moan. We don't even want to hear from Endrick now. He just takes that on board, takes the criticism, takes what Ancelotti says to him. I suspect there's probably people in that dressing room as well who would have similar things to say to Endrick, and you get better for it. But this is not a reason to want to leave on loan, or this is not a reason to... You're only 18 years old. This is only the beginning. You made a mistake. It can happen. You learn from it, and everybody moves on.
Yeah, Frank, you're obviously watching the show. It'd be good to get your take on Ancelotti calling out Endrick after that.
Well, I think he said that because he loves him. I think he wants to give a warning to Endrick. He wants to teach him something. And when you're 18, you have to be able to listen to that. And if Carlo Ancelotti, we are talking about Carlo Ancelotti. We're not talking about anybody else. We are talking about maybe the best coach in the world right now, even if the results are not there. Is taking a time to talk to you, even if it's publicly. Why he does that? You have to ask the question why he does that. He does that to give you a lesson, to make sure you're going to learn, that you're going to listen and you're going to be better and not do again the same mistake.
And that's how I hope Alejandro receives my message. Exactly like that, Frank.
He's not. He's probably on the phone to his girlfriend. He's not watching us.
I'll share this segment with him. The message will get through somehow.
Shaka.
See, can you imagine that his girlfriend is saying right now, you know, you prefer me than your daddy.
Oh, you're gonna be in trouble with my wife, Frank.
Don't upset Melissa. All right. Shaka, what's more likely, Chelsea finishing top 5 or Tottenham winning Europa League?
Oh, God. Chelsea finishing top 5 is more likely. I don't think they'll finish top 5, but that's more criticism of Spurs. I just don't see Spurs winning.
You don't think so? Body limped on the way to the final?
Yeah, but Spurs, though. Just comes back to Spurs.
Frank?
Well, hopefully Chelsea finishing top 5. It's funny that our Chelsea fans are teasing Tottenham fans right now because Tottenham didn't win anything for a long time. And they had kind of a curse against Chelsea for like 20 or 25 years, not winning a game. So they keep on teasing them. So I'm going to go with my fans, with the Chelsea fans, and hopefully seeing Chelsea finishing in the top 5.
I've just been told that according to the bookies, Spurs are favourites to win the Europa League.
Spurs are favourites.
Just tell her Spurs. Apparently, she's a spokesperson for Spurs. Spurs are gonna win it. Go ahead. All right. Go ahead, Kay.
Something wrong with that seat, man. That seat.
It's what you did to me earlier today. Shaq.
That seat. I don't know what it is about that seat.
I don't know. There is something. There is something happening there.
That's I don't know.
What else? Who else do you want me to out in this?
Try to move the seat. Maybe try to move the seat on the right side of Kay. Maybe that will change.
Sit over there. Come here. Give me so much nicer.
Go this way.
Already much better.
It's
Oh,
better
this is actually a bit worrying now.
all right,
It's not like I was getting away scot-free today. Okay.
No,
I'm
but
not
it's good.
angry
Now we don't see him anymore. He's in the shade. He's not in the light anymore. So it's nice.
Well, it's even better. Some would say that's an improvement.
Now you know Alejandro.
Okay, Ale, this is one for you today while you're saying what you think.
Okay.
If you were still with Columbus, how would you feel about the Inter-Miami game getting moved to Cleveland just for money and losing your home field advantage in the process?
Okay, 1 second. In order to
Oh, boy.
Frank, it's the positivity corner.
I gotta say, I don't feel great about it. I don't. And obviously that decision is made because part of the ownership group of the Columbus Crew is the same ownership group as the Cleveland Browns, and they could use their stadium. Cleveland is 2 hours and change from Columbus. We're not talking about, it's just a short drive up the road. No. And so is this about the Columbus Crew fans, or is this about the Cleveland fans that now get a chance to watch Lionel Messi? Now, obviously, fans from Columbus will go up to Cleveland, and apparently it's not a big deal. It's a big deal to me. This is the Columbus Crew. And you're playing the Columbus Crew against Inter Miami. They should come to your stadium. And your stadium, which is a new stadium, state-of-the-art facility, and even though it doesn't have the capacity to have 50, 60,000 people, well, make the most of what you have available in your stadium. And in some ways, you have to reward your fans, not the fans that just show up for Messi, which is the extra 40,000 that will show up for that game. It's for Messi, not for the Columbus Crew. Don't sell your soul to the devil because it's Inter Miami and it's Lionel Messi. You got to reward your own fans. The Columbus Crew fans, the fans that almost lost the team. And to be fair, it's due to this ownership group that they did not lose this team. Reward the 20,000 that come to your stadium. not those that are going to disappear after Lionel Messi leaves town. And actually, when he leaves town, he's not even leaving Columbus, he's leaving Cleveland.
Okay, there we go.
Should I go back over there?
No, you can stay there. That's a nice position.
That was warranted.
Huh?
It was.
Oh, well,
I was
thank
warranted.
you. Thank you.
He was in the perfect mood for that question
Yeah, he's
today,
been
though.
that's
Yes.
been coming.
Yes,
Now,
that-
now he's
that
all
was
right.
Great. That was fair.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was fair.
Yeah.
Ali, that was fair. I'm
was
with you.
great.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
That was fair.
Thank you.
Now he's all right.
His
Now
treatment of the sun on the show today, however, was not fair. We'll end it there.
What?
Thank you so much for sending in your questions on the latest edition of Make
How is that not fair?
We'll be
I
back
thought it
tomorrow,
was.
and unfortunately, I'm on all weekend without him.